Imagine a world without cities, without writing, without the wheel. A world where every human community survives by hunting and gathering. Now, imagine those same people quarrying 50-ton monoliths, carving them with intricate symbols, and erecting them into the world's first temples. What if the very idea of civilization didn't begin with a farmer planting a seed, but with a hunter-gatherer gazing at the stars from a stone circle? For generations, they gathered here for sacred ceremonies, and then, they buried it all deliberately under tons of earth. Today we journey to a windswept hilltop in southeastern Turkey to confront a structure that rewrites the story of humanity. This is Göbekli Tepe. Why was it built? Who were the people who gathered here? And the most profound question of all, why did they bury it? Stay with us as we excavate the evidence, weigh the competing theories, and explore what this 12,000-year-old mystery reveals about the dawn of our world. They buried it on purpose. The Göbekli Tepe mystery explained. Our story begins not in the Stone Age but in 1994. The site, known locally as Göbekli Tepe, or Potbelly Hill, had been surveyed decades earlier but dismissed as little more than a medieval cemetery. But German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt saw something others had missed. He recognized the vast quantities of flint chippings on the surface not as natural, but as the debris from manufacturing thousands of stone tools. He suspected something far older lay beneath the soil. Following his intuition, he began to clear the surface and soon uncovered the curved top of a massive T-shaped pillar. It wasn't a gravestone, it was the tip of an archaeological iceberg. Schmidt knew instantly he had found something extraordinary, not a settlement, but a sanctuary from a forgotten age. He would spend the rest of his life excavating it. Located near the ancient city of Sanliurfa, the excavations revealed a complex stratigraphy. The oldest and most spectacular constructions belong to what archaeologists call Layer 3, dating back to an astonishing 9,600 BCE. Here we find the largest enclosures, massive circular structures up to 20 meters in diameter, each defined by a ring of monolithic T-shaped pillars connected by stone walls. Later, in Layer 2, dating from around 8,800 BCE, the architecture changes. The enclosures become smaller, rectangular, and more numerous. This shift suggests a fundamental change in the rituals practiced here, or perhaps in the very structure of the society that built them. Crucially, across all these layers, there is no evidence of domestic life. No hearths, no houses, no trash pits associated with a village. This was a place people came, not a place they lived. It was a mountain temple, a sacred meeting point. To understand the significance of this, we have to rewind our understanding of history. For over a century, the accepted model of human progress was that the agricultural revolution around 10,000 years ago was the great catalyst. First, people settled down, domesticated plants and animals, and created food surpluses. Only then, with a stable population and free time, could they develop complex society, religion, and monumental architecture. Göbekli Tepe demolishes this timeline. Radiocarbon dating of organic material from the fill confirms its immense age. It predates the invention of pottery, the invention of writing, and the pyramids of Giza by thousands of years. It appears at the very beginning of the Neolithic period, a time when humanity was supposedly composed of small mobile bands of hunter-gatherers. The discovery suggests that the urge to gather for shared ritual, the need for a common belief system, may have come first. Perhaps it was the very challenge of building this place that pushed humanity to innovate, to organize, and eventually to settle down and develop farming to feed the builders. The temple may have created the town, not the other way around. The architectural achievement is staggering. Each enclosure in Layer 3 is built to a similar template. At its heart stand two enormous parallel T-shaped pillars, some reaching 5.5 meters tall and weighing over 10 tons. These are encircled by smaller but still massive pillars facing inward, embedded within dry stone walls. Benches were carved along the interior, suggesting a place for people to sit, observe, or participate. The pillars themselves are stylized human figures. While the top bar represents an abstracted head, some pillars feature carvings of arms, hands, and even belts and loincloths. These are not just posts, they are silent stone effigies of powerful beings or revered ancestors gathering in council. The limestone was hewn from quarries on the same hill, using only flint tools. We've even found a colossal unfinished pillar still attached to the bedrock, a 50-ton giant that for some reason was never detached, giving us a snapshot of their methods. Moving these monoliths, even for a few hundred meters, would have required immense coordination, planning, and a shared vision. If the pillars are the people, the carvings that cover them are their world. The surfaces teem with a vibrant and often menacing menagerie. We see foxes, snakes, wild boars, scorpions and spiders. We see powerful aurochs, gazelles and flocks of cranes and vultures. These are not the docile, domesticated animals of a farming village. This is the wild, untamed world of the hunter. Are they guardian spirits, dangerous forces to be appeased, clan totems, or characters from a grand, shared mythology? One pillar in particular, Pillar 43 in Enclosure D, has drawn intense speculation. It depicts a complex scene, a headless human figure surrounded by vultures. Some interpret this as evidence for excarnation, a funerary practice where bodies were left exposed to be cleaned by birds of prey before the bones were buried. Others see a narrative, a story of death and transformation, or even a celestial map representing constellations. Whatever the specific meaning, it's clear that this was a sophisticated symbolic system, a library of ideas carved in stone. And this brings us to the central enigma, the burial. After centuries of use, each enclosure was deliberately and methodically backfilled. This wasn't a collapse or a natural disaster. The fill material consists of millions of fragments of limestone, flint tools, and a staggering number of animal bones. The sheer volume is immense, representing a labor effort possibly as great as the construction itself. Why would a society invest so much energy into building these magnificent structures only to bury them? The leading hypothesis is that this was a ritual act. When an enclosure reached the end of its ceremonial life, it was decommissioned. The burial was a respectful closure, perhaps trapping the spirits within or marking the end of a cycle. Then, a new, often smaller enclosure might be built nearby or even on top, representing a renewal. This act of burial is what preserved Göbekli Tepe so perfectly, creating a time capsule for archaeologists 12,000 years later. But how could mobile foragers organize such a monumental undertaking? The answer may lie in the animal bones found in the fill. Analysis shows they are almost all from wild species, with a huge proportion of gazelle and aurochs, the wild ancestor of cattle. The sheer quantity suggests something beyond simple subsistence. Massive feasts. This is the feasting hypothesis. Leaders or shamans could have drawn scattered bands of people together for seasonal gatherings, promising not just spiritual communion, but also a spectacular barbecue. These events would have been the social glue of their time, a chance to exchange goods, share information, arrange marriages, and reinforce a common identity. The construction of the temple itself became a shared project that bonded the community. Labor was likely paid in food, prestige, and a place in the cosmic order. Skilled carvers and architects would have emerged, their knowledge passed down through generations. With any ancient silent monument, the question of astronomy arises. Do the pillars align to solstices, equinoxes, or specific stars? Some researchers have proposed compelling alignments, suggesting the enclosures functioned as celestial observatories, perhaps tracking the birth of stars like Sirius on the horizon. However, most archaeologists urge caution. The enclosures were used and modified over centuries, making a single original orientation hard to prove. The pillars themselves are not precise astronomical instruments, and with only a fraction of the site excavated, we risk seeing patterns where none exist. It's safer to say that the builders undoubtedly had a deep understanding of the sky and seasons, a cosmology which was integral to their beliefs. But claiming they built a precise star map is, for now, a step beyond the available evidence. For a long time, Göbekli Tepe seemed like a complete anomaly, but recent discoveries have shown it was not alone. It is the oldest and grandest, but it is part of a vast network of similar sites spread across the region, a phenomenon now called Tas Tepeler, or Stone Hills. Nearby at Karahan Tepe, excavations have revealed more T-pillars in a chamber with 11 phallic pillars emerging from a bench, presided over by a striking human-like head carved in relief. At Navali Kori, now submerged by a dam, archaeologists found an earlier example of a rectangular cult building with its own monoliths. This reveals a widespread cultural tradition that flourished for over 1,500 years. Different communities, on different hills, were all engaged in a similar spiritual project, building monumental centers to mediate their relationship with the world of spirits, ancestors, and the cosmos. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe and its sister sites has been a gift to humanity, but also a profound responsibility. After being protected under the earth for millennia, the delicate limestone pillars are now exposed to the elements. To protect them, a massive state-of-the-art shelter has been constructed over the main enclosures. In 2018, the site was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognizing its universal value. The challenge now is one of conservation. How to study and share this incredible place without letting it degrade. It's a delicate balance between revealing the past and preserving it for the future. So, we return to our question, why bury a temple? Perhaps it was to close a chapter in their history, as their world shifted toward agriculture and settled life. Perhaps it was to keep the powerful spirits of the ancestors safely contained. Or maybe, in an act of profound foresight, the burial was a message. By sealing their world away, they created a legacy, a puzzle for a distant future to solve. At Göbekli Tepe, the fill that buried the pillars became a gift to us, allowing us to ask bigger, better questions about where we came from, and the deep, ancient human impulse to build something sacred together. If this 12,000-year-old mystery has captivated you, hit that like button, subscribe to Zaman Yolkusu, and tell us in the comments, why do you think they buried it? A ritual closure, a social reset, or something else entirely? Your theory could be the key to unlocking the past.